So I'm going to finish up the edge here, and then I'm going to start toning this just to keep it like a sketch. What I am going to do is I'm going to create a new layer. You can't see it. I have it a little off screen right now. And I'm going to use that to tone on top of it. I'm moving this around so I can paint it a little more like I want it to. I want to make his head a little taller, maybe narrow. Maybe something like this. Not so cone-headed. Make his glasses a little taller. And the bridge of his nose is pretty wide. Not so much the ball, but the bridge of his nose. There we go. And I'm going to indicate the shadow underneath his nose just so I have a reference of where I'm putting darks and lights. I want to have room for it. Sometimes I'll indicate a line for the nose, and once I put that line down I realize, well, I don't have enough room for the shadow. You've got to build that into the drawing. You've got to assume that. I used to draw in shapes, in shadow shapes, darks and lights. I'd draw abstract shapes that represented where darks and lights and shadows will be. But then after a while I realized that I was not focusing on exaggeration so much, and I had to use line to my advantage. So I'd go back and forth, but I definitely don't want to lose that that line, the nice line that you can establish. So there we go. I think his head needs to be a little more tall and round. I keep making it taller and taller, I notice. But I don't want it to be too wide because then that will take away from the exaggeration of his jaw. He does have a fun little peak right here and then over here. Sometimes it's fun to just block in shapes and get a feel for it that way. Like that. There we go. Alright. So what I'm going to do now is once I finish up his goatee area and his neck, I'm going to tone this and start just blocking in like a painting, I guess you could say. Similar to a painting. I guess you'd call it digital painting. It's more of a digital sketch. That's the crazy term, the craze right now. Calling it a sketch. I'm going to make his goatee wrap out a little bit. That'll help emphasize how big that area is, see? And then let this really poke out. There we go. Maybe drop this shadow here. Then work on his neck. Now he's kind of a skinny guy, so I don't want that. The big jaw, that big cheek to make you think that he's a big guy. So I can bring his neck in and make it nice and skinny. Maybe longer. There we go. And I don't know what that handkerchief thing is that he's got going on there. Sorry, Kanye, I'm not feeling that. 80s colors. Looks like something a dog would wear. No offense, just not feeling it. But you know, I guess you got to stand out when you're one of those celebrities. We'll even draw that in. We'll have fun with it. Make him a little whoop, boop, boop, boop. There you go. Alright, so I've got my Kanye West here, and I'm going to center him pretty much where I want him, kind of like this. I'll put him right there. I'm not going to worry about composition too much because it's just a sketch, but for now I'm just going to put him in the center. And now I'm going to create a new layer on top. I'll bring this over here so you can see it. Creating a new layer right there, and I'm going to tone that. I'll make it a sort of a red color. Just fill that, and then I'm going to drop the opacity down. So I can see the sketch, but it's not finished. It's got the red, still got a good tone to it, and then maybe I'll just start painting on top of that. So what I'm going to do there, I'll leave my layers here so you can see it. Actually, I'll slide them out of here so I've got a little more room. You'll see that I want to start with just the middle values. I'm going to zoom in on him here so I can get a better feel for what I'm painting. And I'm going to start with a darker red. Just block in his sunglasses first. Whoops. There we go. Now I'm keeping it very big and broad at this point. I can go in and worry about surfaces and touching everything up in a little bit. But for right now, I just want to worry about how the painting is going in general, how the tones are against each other, making sure the proportions are there, making sure that everything's relative to each other, all the shapes and everything. Don't want to get too crazy. So I'm just going to work in the middle values and the darker values for now. Just kind of massage them in here. And I notice that he's got a lot of fun area right here where it gets lighter and darker and there's weird stuff going on. That's the most important part to him. Might even want to make his mouth a little more narrow. There we go. And worry about his mustache more so than the defining part of his upper lip, because his upper lip is kind of curled out and upward. So that's an area that we can kind of let stay light. You don't want to darken the upper lip like you might normally. You know, your instinct is to upper lip dark, lower lip light, basically because of how light hits it, because of the skin tone, a couple of different factors and variables. But you his lip sticks up, so we want to take advantage of that. Now in the corners, it definitely goes down. So we're going to go ahead and take care of that. That gets dark. Just along the bottom. He's got a very complacent and maybe even aggressive expression. So I'm just defining this edge. I want it kind of a hard edge, so I'm painting it in. And then I'll let it get soft as it goes up. There we go. Just like that. Then I'm going to pick a slightly middle value, play around with that. Let this blend in. A little bit, get dark over here. And then I want to get this light value again and line the lip. You can see the top up there, it's pretty light right here, this ridge up top. So I've got this guy moving along. Now, sorry if I get a little quiet. Sometimes it's hard to paint and talk at the same time. May have mentioned that before, but you know, I'll try to say as much as I can about what I'm doing while I'm doing it, because it's important to know what people are thinking while they're painting. If you just see someone put down a brilliant line, it's like, well, not that this is brilliant, I'm not saying that, but if you see someone you admire putting down a line on a page and it looks like it works, people always say, oh, he makes it look easy. Well, yeah, he makes it look easy because he's not saying anything, or she, whoever. They're not saying anything, they're not commenting, they're not explaining to you why they did that. Usually if you explain to someone why you did something, it makes it seem fairly simple. Like, oh, that's easy, that's pretty good, I see why you did that. Now, doing it might not be easy, but you can at least understand. Alright, so I've got his bottom lip indicated there, and I'm going to do his little soul patch. Let that exist. His bottom lip is kind of big, so I'm going to let that stay a little bigger. One of the reasons I went right to his sunglasses at first was to establish that the middle value of dark that I'm working with. That way I can just eyedrop tool, use the eyedrop tool here. You can see right there, this guy right there. If I hold Alt on my keyboard, it will pick up that color and it saves me some time. That's all it does.